All right. Today's video, getting a lot of pushback here on both sides, so thought we talk about it. Has the Club World Cup been a success or a failure? Because there seems to be like no middle ground between anybody you talk to. If you talk to the people out in Europe who cover the game, they'll say a failure. Nobody's talking about it in Europe. Blah 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 blah. It's a glorified preseason friendly tournament, etc., etc. But if you follow what's going on here in the United States, you're saying, "Wow, group stage, Boca, River, the Egyptian fans, the Japanese fans, the Mexican fans, like how crazy the environment has been, how full some of these stadiums have been. I mean, PSG Atletico at the Rose Bowl sold out. In Atlanta, they got sold out games. Sure, you're going to have your games, like I believe it was LAFC versus Chelsea, group stage game in Atlanta, where nobody showed up, where it didn't make sense to put a team like Los Angeles and Chelsea, who I don't think is as popular as most feel, midday on a Wednesday, if you will. It doesn't make sense. Um, in a tournament that's brand new, there's some circumstances there. LAFC qualified last minute by beating Club America in a Club World Cup playoff and was the only essential team in CONCACAF to, MLS team at least, not have a home game. They had to play in Atlanta. I'm sure that game at the bank may have been different. And by the way, LAFC had their chances in that game. I was very surprised. And now Chelsea is going to play in a final against PSG. But when we look at the Club World Cup and we speak to those naysayers, those purists, if you will, what is it they don't like? I hear things like, well, I don't like the time. I don't like that they play during the day in extreme temperatures, 82 degrees, extreme temperature for some of these people who aren't from North America. And I would argue, well, why don't they play later on? Because they're trying to get the Euro attraction, the Euro window. That's what's going to happen in most World Cups. You don't like the heat. Uh, I understand it. Not the first World Cup to play with heat. And yes, 82 degrees, maybe in your neck of the woods, is a little hot. Around the west of the world, excuse me, the rest of the world, it's par for the course, if not way more, during the summer. And by the way, a lot of these stadiums, much like Qatar, uh, have a domed element to them. You go to SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, domed element, even though that wasn't used Atlanta, etc. This is a North American thing. Well, I don't like the delays because of the weather. Again, another North American thing. Well, uh, I don't like that they lay grass on turf. Again, another North American thing. You're just telling me you don't like soccer, you don't like football in America, but that has very little to do with the tournament itself. You can make that better. The tournament isn't always going to be in the United States. Well, I don't like the qualification process. The best teams aren't there. Barcelona's not there. Liverpool's not there. You got to qualify. Club America's not there. You got to qualify. Well, it's the saturated calendar. I've not seen one player that's played in this tournament, complain about the calendar. Far from it. It's the players or the people who aren't involved in this tournament. Jurgen Klopp, as soon as Salzburg was out, because he's now director of everything that is Red Bull, football, soccer, in the sporting world, he decides to speak up. But there's not been one player here that has spoken up. Chelsea's coach, yeah, I believe he said, or was it Juventus coach? It could have been Juventus coach who ended up speaking up against the weather and said that 10 of his players decided or asked to be subbed out. They couldn't deal with it. Um, it speaks more about your team than anything else. But he actually said they were very fortunate to play in this tournament, to play against the likes of Real Madrid and how much they would get from it. But when you talk to players in this tournament, not one has come out and spoken against it. So when I hear all these things about why the Club World Cup can't work, the saturated calendar, by the way, this tournament's gonna be once every 4 years. Once every 4 years. If it was every single year, I would say, you know what? Something has to be done. But your boys played in the actual Club World Cup, the original Club World Cup, when there was 7 teams. I played with Pachuca in 2010 at the Club World Cup. It was Abu Dhabi. I remember flying into Dubai. I remember going to Abu Dhabi, and I remember feeling like, where am I? It doesn't feel like an event. I see the images of people at the beaches. I see the images of people celebrating, coming out to the games. I see the images of the fans, of giving Auckland an opportunity to compete with Bayern. They got smashed. And then given an opportunity to compete against Boca, and they show out against Boca. FIFA's mission statement, and I'm not defending FIFA because a lot to improve on, is to grow the game. You don't represent the 1%. You represent the whole. And this Club World Cup is a great idea that can be executed better. And I think that's where we can find common ground, that it can be executed better. But when they give you a list of the turf over grass or the grass over turf, the weather, the weather delays, the time slots, what they're saying to you is, I don't like soccer in America. I don't like football in America, in the United States, in North America. These are North American things. But they're not giving you valid reasons for the Club World Cup. Saturated calendar. I get you. Eliminate the Nations League. Eliminate the Nations League in UEFA, in CONCACAF. Eliminate these Super Cups in the Middle East. Eliminate all these different things that saturate the calendar. You've got 4 or 5 tournaments in the UK, for God's sakes. Eliminate all these things that can saturate the calendar. And then what do you have? You have a legit tournament that is for everybody. Dan Thomas, my colleague at ESPN FC, said, well, this is like a diluted Champions League because in the end, it's going to be the same teams. Well, if that's the logic, then let's not have the World Cup because in the end, you're going to have the majority of the same teams that you'll have probably in the Euros. So Al Hilal, who beat Man City, out the window. These Brazilian teams who showed out against European teams. Monterrey doing well, and getting as far as they did. Inter Miami, beating Porto. Like, there's all these examples of why you have to give everybody a chance to perform in one platform. It's not for the elite. It's not for the 1%. As much as your team isn't here, as much as the team that you love can't represent, it's not about the 1%. It's about everybody. And this is a way to grow the game. Can it be better? Absolutely. But does it have a place in world football? Yes. Yes, it does.